What's good, people? It's Chi here, and I wanted to give you a quick strategy technique of how to find percent of ARV and why it's important to find percent of ARV if you're using this strategy. What I learned early in my wholesaling career was that if you can use something called percent of ARV and basically get an average of the percent of ARV for any given particular area, then you can make offers relatively quickly without having to do a whole bunch of calculations and math in your head or on paper or in your computer or wherever else you're doing them. So for me, it was very beneficial to learn the percent of ARVs for each zip code. That's how I did it. Now I know people had percent of ARV for a city. I didn't think that was accurate enough. So for me, I prefer to do it per zip code. And what that basically tells me is if you do your math and your calculations correctly, I know I said it's not a lot of math. It's not a lot of math, and I'm going to show you in a minute why it's not. You really have to do this maybe once per year or once every 6 months. In markets where things are fluctuating a little bit more, you might do it once every quarter, right? So 4 times a year you would do this at the most, and you're basically trying to figure out what the percent of ARV is for a given zip code, a given neighborhood, or community section of your city. I like to do it for zip codes. I find it's pretty accurate enough for me to do offers if things need to change after I've come to an agreement on a number. And usually I'm doing this with agents because my preferred method is agent outreach or hybrid wholesaling, where I'm using estate sales. Either way, I'm making offers, and those offers are going to be done rapid fire when I'm doing rapid fire method. Now, if you're not doing a rapid fire and you're doing something that's more targeted, I would say that you can use a different method and be more do more calculating to figure out how close to a number you want to use. But I know people are using things like 75% of ARV minus repairs or something like that. You're using some kind of formula, and that's fine. But I have a free calculator that will help you to come to maximum allowable offers much easier. And this particular method that I'm about to show you right now is also incorporated in that calculator, along with several other methods of making offers. It's an offer estimator calculator. It's free. It's great to use. But percent of ARV. What is the percent of ARV? So basically, percent of ARV is how much a buyer is paying for a property before it's been repaired, and they're using a comp or a couple of comps to determine what the ARV is in that neighborhood, and then determining, okay, I can only pay 70% of that ARV. That might be a buyer's number. It might be, I know I need to pay at least around 70% of ARV for this to be a deal, or 65% of ARV, or whatever the percentage of ARV may be for that area. And I find that it is different for different areas. Different zip codes is usually what I'm doing it for. Now, you can do this for an entire neighborhood. If you're running comps, it comes in handy. You do it once, you don't have to do it again, right? Just leave it. You can mark a map, and on your map of any given city, you can say this area is going for 75% of the ARV all day. I know that those numbers are strong. It's over and over and over. I see this repeatedly from my buyers. They're all buying for around 75% in this particular zip code or in this particular section of the map. So you do that, you take that, and then you can rock with that for the rest of the year, hopefully. Or maybe, it might be 6 months or every quarter for your area if you're in a rapidly shifting market. But for me, I'm going to do this once or twice a year. And basically what I would do is I'm going to take a handful of properties from that zip code or from that section of town, and I'm going to basically see recently solds. And these are all going to be properties that have not been renovated. So I'm going to go like in Redfin, Zillow. I'm going to find a couple of recently sold properties for that area. Usually I like to start off with at least 4. At least 4, 5 is a good number. If you want to do more the merrier, of course. But you can start off by doing about 5 properties. Find out the ARV for all 5 of these properties, right? Once you've done that, you're going to calculate the percent of ARV that all of these 5 properties sold for. So if you know your property is, say, 350, what percent of ARV is your property, right? And that's when we go to the calculator. I'm going to show you this really quickly, how we do this. So this is the offer estimator calculator. Right now I'm focusing on this little area here, which is percent of ARV. The percent of ARV section is how we basically find out what percent of ARV did this property sell for. So let's find an example property real quick. I'm going to go to Redfin. This recent property here sold a little less than a month ago. It is a property that I was looking at. I didn't get to make an offer on it, but I was looking at it and I had it in my Redfin system. I save all properties that I'm thinking about offering on into Redfin in folders, and I have another video to show you how to do that. Within those folders, I also will, it's based on the favorites here. You go into favorites and I can change which list it falls in. I have all these lists. This one goes into recently sold because it's recently sold. So I basically use Redfin like a mini CRM. For me, I like using Redfin. It's awesome for making offers on on-market properties. So anyway, I have this in my recently solds. I see that it sold for $285. Now we could look at some of the comps in the area real quick that have also sold, let's say in the last 6 months. And we see we have properties in this little neck of the woods here. We're only going to look in this little area here. We have properties selling for $371. This is also at split level. Let's check it out. It's not recently renovated, but it was renovated, not, I don't know, to a degree maybe. Check it out a little bit closer. It was renovated at some point. It's not super modern, not super recent, as you can tell, but it's certainly not in bad shape, and it sold for $371. So we're going to pretend this is a comp. Pretend we have multiple comps, right, that are actually fully renovated. Pretend this is a fully renovated comp just for the assignment here. So we have this fully renovated comp. It works for what we need it to work for, which is basically letting us know what the ARV is for this property. So the ARV, as we saw, was $370, right? This one is sold for $285. So we're going to go back to our calculator, right? We said this one sold for $285, and the ARV was $370. That means that it sold for 77% of ARV. Okay, so that's one property. Now let's pretend we have 1, 2, 3, 4 others, giving us 5 in total. This is what ARV each of those sold for. So we're pretending that we found 4 other properties, and we did the exact same thing, plugging them into the calculator, and these were the answers that we were given. This will not be on the calculator when you download it or when you use it. It's just here for this demonstration. Right, so that shows us that on average, if we plug this up and did an average, it's probably about 76% of ARV. So let's pretend that 76% of ARV is what buyers are on average buying properties from in this particular area. So that would mean next time I have a property that comes up in that area, in that market, I can say I need to purchase this below 76% of ARV. And, you know, determining how much percent below is going to be on you, but below 75% of ARV. So now we know that our given area is roughly 76% of ARV. That's what buyers are buying properties for in our area. Now you can do this from multiple zip codes. This is the beauty of this method, is that you can take this formula or this this take the calculator and apply this technique to any new market that you find yourself wanting to go into and find properties. So for me, if I was going into a new market, I'd look at several zip codes that I think are hot zip codes, and then I would pull roughly 5 properties that have recently sold in those zip codes, get an average ARV for that zip code, and whatever that average number is, I'm going to start locking my properties up, or trying to lock properties up for a little bit under that average, so that that gives me the room for my assignment fee, right? So if it's 76% of ARV, I may try to lock it up for 74% of ARV, leaving room for a 2% assignment fee. That might be high, maybe like 1%. That you have to kind of do the math. It depends on how much the properties are going for in your particular area and how much you want to make. You determine that part. But what you do want to do is make offers a little bit below whatever properties are normally selling for, that average percent of ARV. I hope that makes sense. So basically what you're doing is you're finding a collection of properties that have recently been sold. You're finding out their ARV. For each of those properties, you want to find out the ARV. Then put it in the calculator, the free calculator that I'm giving you in the description. Take that calculator, find the percent of ARV, find a few of them, average those out, see if you're doing like 70, maybe you're about 70% of ARV, maybe you're 65. It's going to be different in every area, but find out what that number is for that area. And now, anytime you get a property in that area, you know I need to be around 75% of ARV, for example. Wherever that ARV number is, you want to be a couple of percentage points or a percentage point beneath that, depending on how much you want to make. Could be more than that if you feel like you can get it off. And it's also going to be determined by the condition of the property, obviously. But this is just a quick, rapid fire, quick and dirty way to make quick offers without having to do many calculations, without having to think about things too much. And hopefully that can help you do more deals, get things done quickly without having to, do a lot of math. If you're not a math person. I did okay in math, but you might not be great at math, or sometimes I don't want to do math. You know what I mean? So hopefully this helps somebody. Check out the free calculator. If you're interested in other methods of doing this sort of thing, I would really hope that you would try out like astro flipping. It's a community that I'm a part of, and I feel like they teach a lot of this kind of thing better than I do. And they do it on a regular basis, like daily basis. They have, a community that everybody's just teaching each other, and everybody's real helpful. And there are a lot of real successful students there. So check that out too. All of this stuff is in my description. And hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you out. Check out the free calculator to make it help even more. I'm out.